This is the story of Elon Musk, a man who wants to save the world and escape from it at the same time. A man who imagines electric cars on Earth and colonies on Mars. A man who inspires millions, yet often hurts people close to him. Walter Isaacson, the famous biographer who wrote about Steve Jobs, follows Musk for 2 years. He sits in meetings, he rides with him in cars, he walks with him through factories, he listens to friends, family, and critics. He captures the drama of a man who lives with both genius and chaos. This book is not only about success and innovation, it is about struggle, risk, obsession, and pain. It is about how childhood trauma can shape ambition. It is about how one person can bend reality to his will, but also about the cost of that obsession. Isaacson structures the book like a journey, from Elon's childhood in South Africa, to the creation of PayPal, to building Tesla and SpaceX, to taking over Twitter. Each chapter shows a new side of him, sometimes heroic, sometimes destructive. For listeners across the world, this book gives both lessons and warnings. It shows how innovation is born from boldness and stubbornness. It shows how vision can inspire teams to achieve the impossible. But it also shows the emotional toll, the broken relationships, and the chaos of a restless soul. This is not just the biography of Elon Musk. It is the story of how one man's relentless drive collides with our time. It is about the 21st century itself, electric cars, reusable rockets, artificial intelligence, and the fight for free speech online. Now let us step into the life of Elon Musk, a life full of fire, energy, and risk. A life that may shape the future of humanity. Part 1. Introduction and Early Life. Elon Musk is one of the most fascinating and controversial figures of the modern age. Walter Isaacson's book about him is not only a biography, but also a story about courage, obsession, and vision. The book opens with Elon's early years, because to understand his work later in life, we must understand where he came from. Elon was born in Pretoria, South Africa, in the year 1971. His family environment shaped him in both inspiring and painful ways. His father, Elon Musk, was an engineer. He was intelligent and skilled, but also had a very difficult personality. Many people, including Elon himself, describe him as cold and controlling. His mother, May Musk, was very different. She worked as a model and dietitian, and showed strength and independence. She later became a role model for her children, proving that one could stay resilient even in tough times. Elon grew up with 2 younger siblings, Kimball and Tosca. The 3 of them shared a close bond, especially as they tried to deal with the challenges of their household. From a young age, Elon showed signs of being different. He was shy and introverted, often disappearing into his own world of books and imagination. Instead of playing outside like most kids, he would sit quietly and read for hours. Books became his escape and his best friends. He read science fiction novels that filled his mind with dreams of other planets and galaxies. He also read encyclopedias from start to finish, absorbing facts about science, history, and technology. This gave him a huge memory and a sense of curiosity that never left him. But life outside books was not easy. At school, Elon was often bullied. He was small, quiet, and different, which made him an easy target. There were times when he was beaten so badly that he had to be hospitalized. These painful experiences left scars, but they also made him tougher. He learned that the world can be cruel, and that to survive, you need to fight back in your own way. His relationship with his father added to the hardship. Elon later described his father as someone who could make you feel worthless. This emotional struggle forced Elon to build a shield around himself. He began to rely more on his inner world of ideas and less on people around him. This inner toughness would later help him face the repeated failures and crises in his career. Despite the pain, Elon's early years gave him one priceless gift. He developed the belief that the future could be changed through technology. He imagined building rockets, creating new machines, and making life on other planets possible. This was not just childhood fantasy for him. It became the mission of his life. By the time he was a teenager, Elon was already thinking beyond South Africa. He wanted to escape the limitations of his homeland and reach the places where technology and opportunity were booming. In his mind, America was the land of innovation, and he dreamed of going there one day. But before that dream could come true, he had to make an important choice. He realized that if he stayed in South Africa, he would have to serve in the military under the apartheid system. This was something he did not believe in. He wanted freedom, progress, and a chance to contribute to something larger than himself. So, even as a teenager, he started planning how to leave his home country and build a new future abroad. This decision would change the course of his life. It would take him first to Canada and later to the United States, where his real journey as an entrepreneur would begin. And that is where the next part of his story unfolds. Part 2. Leaving South Africa and college in America. Elon Musk's decision to leave South Africa was not just a teenage rebellion. It was a clear and conscious choice about the kind of future he wanted. He saw two paths ahead of him. One was to remain in South Africa, serve in the apartheid military, and live in a society that was divided and trapped in old systems. The other was to move out, step into the larger world, and chase his dream of working with technology and space. He chose the second path. At the age of 17, Elon managed to get a Canadian passport through his mother, who had been born in Canada. This passport was his ticket out of South Africa. He packed his things, carrying not much money, and left for Canada in 1989. This move was not easy. In Canada, he had no wealth, no connections, and no comfort. He had to work odd jobs to support himself, such as cleaning boilers, cutting wood, and even farming. But these hardships did not scare him. For Elon, the most important thing was freedom. Soon, his brother Kimball also joined him in Canada. Together, they began to imagine a future in which they could build something meaningful. Elon enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. He was not a very social student, but he stood out because of his intensity and his ability to absorb knowledge. At Queen's, he met Justine Wilson, who later became his first wife. This period taught Elon how to survive in a new country and how to stay focused even when the circumstances were tough. But Elon wanted more. He always believed that the United States was the land where the most important technological revolutions would happen. So, after spending 2 years in Canada, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. At Penn, Elon studied 2 degrees at the same time. One was in economics at the Wharton School, which gave him an understanding of money and business. The other was in physics, which taught him the science behind energy and the universe. He lived modestly, sometimes renting a small room with others and even hosting house parties to make money for rent. What made Elon different during his college years was not just his intelligence, but also his clarity about the future. While other students were thinking about jobs and careers, Elon was thinking about humanity itself. He had already made a list of the 3 things that he believed would most affect the future of the world. First was the internet. Second was renewable energy. Third was space exploration. He decided that his life's work would revolve around these 3 goals, and he kept reminding himself that if something is important enough, you must try, even if the chances of success are small. At Penn, he also showed his entrepreneurial spirit. Together with his roommate, he rented a big house and turned it into a nightclub for students. This was just to earn money for survival, but it showed how creative he could be when faced with a problem. After graduating, Elon received an opportunity to pursue a PhD in applied physics at Stanford University in California. He moved to Silicon Valley in 1995, right at the beginning of the internet boom. But when he arrived, he quickly realized that the real action was not inside classrooms. It was happening in small offices and garages where startups were being born. He saw that the internet was about to change everything. So, after just 2 days at Stanford, he dropped out of the program. He decided to build something of his own instead of studying theories. This was the moment when Elon Musk fully stepped into the world of entrepreneurship. With energy, boldness, and very little money, he set out to create his first company. It would be the beginning of his journey into the internet industry. And that is where part 3 of his story begins. Part 3. The Internet Startups, Zip2 and X.com. When Elon Musk arrived in Silicon Valley in 1995, the Internet was still young. Most people did not fully understand how powerful it could become. But Elon could see its future. He believed the Internet would change how humans lived, worked, and communicated. This belief gave him the courage to start his first company. Together with his brother Kimball, Elon founded a startup called Zip2. They rented a small office, slept on the floor, and showered at a local YMCA. The company's idea was simple, but revolutionary for that time. Zip2 helped newspapers create online directories and maps for their readers. It was one of the first attempts to combine local business listings with digital navigation. Life at Zip2 was tough. The Musk brothers worked day and night. Elon often coded through the night and took short naps on his desk. They ate cheap food, saved every dollar, and focused only on building their product. At first, investors and newspapers were not convinced, but slowly, Zip2 began to attract attention. Major newspapers like the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune became clients. The business started growing. Elon wanted Zip2 to become even bigger. He imagined adding online banking, shopping, and more. But the investors thought his ideas were too ambitious. They replaced him as CEO and limited his role. This was Elon's first big lesson in business. Even if you are the founder, investors can take control if they hold the money. In 1999, Compaq bought Zip2 for over $300 million. Elon's share gave him around $22 million. For most people, this would have been enough to retire young. But for Elon, it was just the beginning. He immediately started thinking about his next venture. His next idea was to transform money itself. In March 1999, he founded a company called X.com. This was an online banking and payment service. At that time, people were afraid to put money on the internet. But Elon believed that online transactions would soon become normal. He wanted to build a financial platform that would replace traditional banks. The early days of X.com were chaotic, but exciting. Elon invested much of his own money and built a team of engineers. The company quickly attracted users because it was simple to send money by email. This was a radical idea in the late 1990s. Soon, X.com merged with another startup called Confinity, which had created a product called PayPal. After the merger, the company focused on PayPal, which allowed people to make fast and secure payments online. Elon wanted to stay as CEO, but again, the board of directors thought he was too aggressive with his ideas. While Elon was away on a trip, the board removed him as CEO. This was the second time he lost control of a company he had founded. Still, Elon remained the largest shareholder. When eBay bought PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion, Elon received about $180 million from the deal. Now, Elon Musk was wealthy, but he was not interested in luxury or retirement. He had always said that his mission was to work on the three things that mattered most for humanity. The internet was one, and he had already made his mark there. The next two were energy and space. And now, with money in his hands, he was ready to take on his biggest dream of all. This dream was not about cars or phones or simple technology. It was about reaching the stars. In Part 4, we will see how Elon Musk took his PayPal fortune and risked it all to create SpaceX, a private space company that many thought was impossible. Part 4. The Dream of SpaceX. After the PayPal sale in 2002, Elon Musk could have lived a life of luxury. He had close to $200 million. Many in Silicon Valley used their wealth for comfort, big houses, or safe investments. But Elon was different. From his childhood days of reading science fiction, he carried a vision that humanity should not remain limited to Earth. He believed that for our species to survive in the long run, we must become multiplanetary. This was not a hobby for him. It was a mission. Elon first thought about creating a project called Mars Oasis. The idea was to send a greenhouse with plants to Mars to spark public interest in space exploration. He even traveled to Russia to buy old rockets, but the prices were too high, and the technology was outdated. On the flight back, Elon had a realization. Instead of buying rockets from others, why not build them himself? If rockets could be made reusable, space travel costs could fall dramatically. This would open the door to larger missions and, eventually, to colonizing Mars. So in 2002, Elon founded SpaceX, short for Space Exploration Technologies. He put in $100 million of his own money. He built a small team of engineers and scientists in a warehouse in El Segundo, California. Their goal was clear: make rockets cheaper, make them reusable, and eventually make life multiplanetary. At the start, most experts laughed at him. They thought it was impossible for a private company to do what only governments like NASA or Russia had done. But Elon ignored the critics. He demanded long hours from his team, and he was deeply involved in engineering decisions. The first rocket they built was called Falcon 1. The journey was brutal. The first launch of Falcon 1 in 2006 failed. The rocket exploded before reaching orbit. The second launch in 2007 also failed. The third launch in 2008 failed as well. Each time, millions of dollars were lost, and people started saying that SpaceX was finished. Elon had already invested almost all of his fortune. He was even borrowing money for personal expenses. By the time of the fourth launch, everything was on the line. If it failed, SpaceX would die. But in September 2008, the Falcon 1 finally reached orbit. It was a historic moment. SpaceX became the first private company to send a liquid-fueled rocket into orbit. This success changed everything. Just weeks later, NASA awarded SpaceX a contract worth over $1 billion to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. That deal saved the company from collapse. It also showed that a private company could indeed compete with national space agencies. From there, SpaceX continued to grow. They developed the Falcon 9 rocket, which could carry larger payloads. Then came the Dragon capsule, which could carry supplies, and later astronauts. The most revolutionary achievement was the reusable booster. Instead of rockets burning up and being wasted, SpaceX made them land back safely. This reduced costs and shocked the aerospace world. For Elon, every success was one step closer to Mars. He pushed his team to keep improving. In 2020, SpaceX launched astronauts to the International Space Station, the first private company in history to do so. This was a turning point, not only for SpaceX, but for the entire future of space travel. But while Elon was pushing rockets into space, he was also preparing to transform another industry on Earth. He believed that if humanity was to survive, we must not only expand to Mars, but also change how we use energy here on our planet. This idea led him to Tesla. And that is where Part 5 begins. We will see how Elon Musk entered the electric car business, faced massive challenges, and eventually changed the global auto industry. Part 5. The birth of Tesla Motors. While Elon Musk was building rockets with SpaceX, another part of his vision was growing. He had always believed that the world could not depend on oil forever. Fossil fuels were damaging the environment and would eventually run out. If humanity wanted a sustainable future, we needed clean energy and electric transport. This belief pulled him into the world of cars. Tesla Motors had been founded in 2003 by two engineers, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Their goal was to make an electric sports car that was fast, stylish, and desirable. When Elon met them, he was immediately drawn to the idea. He invested millions of dollars and soon became chairman of the company. Later, through many struggles and conflicts, he became the face and leader of Tesla. The first car they created was the Tesla Roadster. It was based on a Lotus sports car, but powered entirely by lithium-ion batteries. Most people thought electric cars were boring, slow, and limited to short distances. The Roadster proved them wrong. It was fast, attractive, and could travel more than 200 miles on a single charge. This broke the old image of electric cars. But making the Roadster was not easy. The company faced engineering problems, battery shortages, and financial crises. Costs went up far higher than expected. Many times, Tesla was close to running out of money. Elon invested more and more of his own fortune to keep the company alive. He demanded long hours and impossible deadlines from his engineers. Some employees admired his passion, while others felt crushed under his pressure. But slowly, Tesla began to find its path. After the Roadster, Tesla worked on a luxury sedan, the Model S. This car became a breakthrough in the auto industry. The Model S was elegant, powerful, and packed with technology. It won awards worldwide and showed that electric cars could compete with the best gasoline cars. Next came the Model X, an electric SUV with falcon wing doors. Then Tesla introduced the Model 3, a more affordable car aimed at the mass market. Later came the Model Y, and even bigger projects like the Cybertruck and Semi. Tesla was not just about cars. Elon wanted to build a whole ecosystem around clean energy. The company worked on large batteries, called Powerwall and Powerpack, to store renewable energy. Tesla also merged with SolarCity, a company run by Elon's cousins, to expand into solar power. His dream was to create a world where homes, businesses, and vehicles all ran on sustainable energy. Like SpaceX, Tesla also faced moments when survival seemed impossible. In 2008, when the global financial crisis hit, Tesla was nearly bankrupt. Elon had to make a final gamble, splitting his remaining money between SpaceX and Tesla. He later said that this was one of the hardest decisions of his life. But once again, just when everything seemed lost, new investors came in, and Tesla survived. Over the years, Tesla's value grew rapidly. It became the most valuable car company in the world, even larger than traditional giants like Toyota and Volkswagen. This shocked the auto industry, which had once dismissed electric cars as a fad. Elon had proved them wrong. Yet, Tesla's story was not only about technology. It was also about Elon Musk's unique way of working. He pushed his teams to do things others thought were impossible. He focused on engineering details, from battery chemistry to car design. And he never accepted no as an answer. But this extreme leadership style came at a cost. It made Tesla a place of both inspiration and fear. Some employees left, unable to handle the pressure. Others stayed, drawn by the excitement of changing the world. This mix of brilliance and intensity is what defined Tesla's rise. And this brings us to part 6. Here we will take a closer look at Elon Musk's leadership style, his work ethic, and how his approach shaped both success and controversy. Part 6. Leadership Style and Work Ethic. To understand Elon Musk's companies, one must first understand Elon Musk's style of leadership. He is not a traditional businessman. He does not spend much time on formal meetings, polished speeches, or corporate politics. Instead, he is deeply involved in engineering, design, and problem solving. He believes that leaders must know the smallest details of their products. Elon's leadership is intense. He works long hours, often more than 100 hours a week. It is common for him to sleep at Tesla factories or SpaceX offices. He does not separate his personal life from his work life. For him, the mission is everything. He expects the same level of dedication from his employees. This creates an environment that is both inspiring and exhausting. Many workers admire him because he pushes them to achieve what they thought was impossible. When Elon sets a deadline, it often seems unrealistic, but his teams frequently deliver results that shock the world. For example, when people said reusable rockets were not possible, Elon demanded his engineers find a way. When car experts laughed at Tesla's goals, Elon insisted the company move faster. His belief in first principles thinking guides him. Instead of accepting what is already known, he breaks problems down to the most basic truths and rebuilds solutions from the ground up. However, this style also creates tension. Elon can be harsh and impatient. He has been known to fire people suddenly if he feels they are slowing down progress. He often pushes employees to work extreme hours, sometimes through nights and weekends. Some people see this as unfair and unsustainable. Others see it as the price of changing the world. Elon himself does not deny that he can be difficult. He admits that he is not skilled in traditional management or gentle communication. But he also says that his job is not to be easy on people. His job is to make sure the future happens. This sense of urgency comes from his belief that time is short. He often reminds his teams that humanity faces great risks, from climate change to artificial intelligence. To him, Building rockets and electric cars is not just business. It is survival. This mission-driven mindset gives Elon a unique kind of authority. Employees know that he is not motivated only by profit. He is willing to risk his own fortune, his health, and his reputation to achieve his vision. This inspires loyalty among many who work with him. Some compare it to working with a general in a war. The battle is not fought with weapons, but with technology and ideas. One of the strongest parts of his work ethic is his focus on details. Unlike many CEOs, Elon does not just read reports. He goes into the factories, checks machines, and studies designs himself. He asks sharp questions and expects clear answers. This keeps everyone alert because they know he will notice mistakes others might ignore. But the pressure is always present. Tesla and SpaceX have both faced moments when failure seemed certain. In those times, Elon's intensity grew even more. He would push himself and his teams to the edge. And yet, those same moments of pressure often led to breakthroughs. It is this combination of high stress and high achievement that defines his leadership. For outsiders, Elon Musk can appear both heroic and ruthless. He inspires millions of people with his vision, yet frustrates those who work closest with him. He is not a leader who comforts. He is a leader who demands. And in doing so, he has built companies that others thought were impossible. But leadership and work ethic are tested most during crisis, and Elon Musk has faced more than one crisis where everything he built was on the line. To understand his journey fully, we must look at those moments when Tesla and SpaceX were near collapse. That is the story of Part 7. Part 7. Crisis and Survival. Every great story has moments where everything seems lost. For Elon Musk, that moment came in 2008. It was a year that almost destroyed him. Both Tesla and SpaceX were on the edge of collapse, and Elon himself was nearly broke. Let us start with SpaceX. The company had already launched 3 rockets, and all 3 had failed. The first Falcon 1 exploded seconds after liftoff. The second reached higher, but failed before reaching orbit. The third came close, but still ended in disaster. Each failure cost millions of dollars. Each failure also shook the confidence of investors and engineers. By 2008, Elon had spent almost all of the money he had earned from PayPal. He had invested more than $100 million into SpaceX. If the 4th launch failed, there would be no money left to continue. The future of the company and Elon's dream of making life multiplanetary depended on one last chance. In September 2008, SpaceX launched Falcon 1 for the 4th time. This time, the rocket reached orbit. It was a historic success. For the first time in history, a private company had put a liquid-fueled rocket into space. The small team at SpaceX celebrated, but Elon knew the fight was not over. They still needed customers. Just weeks later, NASA awarded SpaceX a contract worth more than $1 billion to carry cargo to the International Space Station. That contract saved the company from death. But while SpaceX was struggling, Tesla was in even deeper trouble. The company had spent huge amounts of money developing the Roadster, and costs had gone far beyond what was planned. Production was delayed, and cars that were delivered had problems. Investors began to lose faith. By late 2008, Tesla was almost out of cash. At the same time, the world was facing a global financial crisis. Banks were collapsing, companies were failing, and money was disappearing from the market. For Tesla, this meant that raising new funds was nearly impossible. Elon had already poured much of his fortune into keeping Tesla alive. He was also going through a painful divorce, which left him emotionally exhausted. He later said that this was the worst year of his life. In December 2008, Tesla had only weeks left before it would have to shut down. Elon had one last chance to find investors. He spent Christmas Eve making calls and negotiating deals. Finally, at the very last moment, he secured funding from existing investors and Daimler, the German car company. That money kept Tesla alive. At this point, Elon had no personal cash left. He had borrowed money to pay his rent. He was wealthy on paper because of his company shares, but in reality, he was nearly bankrupt. Still, he refused to give up. He said that he would rather go down with his companies than walk away. This determination, some say obsession, is what saved both Tesla and SpaceX. Looking back, 2008 was the turning point. If the fourth SpaceX launch had failed, or if Tesla had not received last-minute funding, Elon Musk's story would have ended there. Both companies would have closed, and his name might have been remembered only as the PayPal millionaire who lost everything. But survival gave him a second chance. From that moment, SpaceX and Tesla began to rise. Slowly, the world started to take him seriously. This survival taught Elon an important lesson. He realized that risk and failure are part of innovation. But he also proved that he was willing to stake everything for his vision. This earned him both respect and fear. To his supporters, he was a hero who never gave up. To his critics, he was reckless and dangerous. But no one could ignore him anymore. And this brings us to part 8. Here we will see how Elon Musk used survival as a springboard for even greater innovation. We will explore his bold risk-taking, his drive to push boundaries, and his willingness to bet everything again and again for the sake of the future. Part 8. Innovation and Risk-Taking. Elon Musk's story is not just about survival. It is about taking risks that most people would never imagine. After 2008, he could have chosen a safer life. He could have stayed wealthy, avoided danger, and enjoyed his success. But Elon's mind always looked forward. He believed that the future of humanity depended on bold action. He was willing to risk everything for ideas that could change the world. SpaceX is the first example of this. Even after the success of Falcon 1 and the NASA contract, Elon continued to push boundaries. He wanted reusable rockets, something the aerospace industry thought impossible. Other companies saw reusable rockets as too expensive and too risky. But Elon believed that reusability was the key to making space travel affordable. He instructed his engineers to test ideas that often seemed crazy. Missiles that landed vertically, rockets that could return to the launch pad. These were all experiments that could have failed spectacularly. Tesla was another example. Electric cars were considered impractical. Battery technology was expensive and unreliable. Traditional automakers laughed at the idea of a mass-market electric car. Yet Elon insisted on building a luxury sedan, the Model S, that would be fast, reliable, and desirable. He invested his own money, worked tirelessly with engineers, and demanded innovations that were unprecedented. Tesla's cars today are admired not just for their design, but for their technological breakthroughs, like autopilot, battery efficiency, and performance. Elon's risk-taking goes beyond his companies. He started projects like Neuralink, which aims to connect the human brain with computers. Many scientists considered it impossible or ethically questionable. He started The Boring Company to build underground tunnels to solve city traffic. At first, people thought these ideas were jokes, but Elon pushed them anyway, showing that boldness often precedes innovation. Elon also invests personally in these ventures, putting his own money at stake. He does not hide behind investors or shareholders. If a project fails, he feels the consequences himself. This willingness to bet everything makes him different from almost every other entrepreneur. It also inspires teams because they see that their leader is committed to the same risks they are taking. However, such risk-taking comes with challenges. Not every idea succeeds. Some rockets exploded. Some projects were delayed. Some products failed to meet expectations. Elon knows that failure is part of the process. He says that the key is to learn quickly, adapt, and keep pushing forward. Innovation in Elon's mind requires speed and urgency. He often compares progress to a race against time. Climate change, space threats, and technological disruption all mean that humanity cannot afford to wait. This sense of urgency drives him to work extreme hours and demand extraordinary results from his teams. In essence, Elon Musk's career is a series of calculated and sometimes extreme risks. Every time he faces a challenge, he bets more than most people would dare. Yet his courage and foresight are what allow him to achieve breakthroughs that reshape entire industries. This boldness, however, is not limited to technology. It also affects his personal life, public image, and decisions in business. In Part 9, we will look at Elon Musk's personal life, family struggles, and how his intense focus on work shapes his relationships. Part 9. Personal life and family. Elon Musk's life is not only about rockets, cars, and technology. It is also about family, relationships, and personal struggles. While the world watches his achievements, very few understand the sacrifices he has made in his personal life. Elon has been married several times. His first wife was Justine Wilson, a writer he met while at the University of Pennsylvania. Together, they had 6 children, though tragically, their first child died as an infant. Elon has spoken about how painful that loss was and how it affected him deeply. Despite the tragedy, he continued to focus on his work, often balancing grief with the enormous responsibilities of his companies. After his first marriage ended, Elon married Tallulah Riley twice. These relationships, like many aspects of his life, were intense and sometimes turbulent. His focus on work and long hours put strain on his marriages and personal connections. Elon has admitted that it is difficult for him to balance family and career. His children often see him more as a visionary and a problem solver than as a father present at home. Despite these challenges, Elon is deeply attached to his family. He loves his children and tries to involve them in his life whenever possible. He also shares a close bond with his mother, May Musk, who has been a source of inspiration and support throughout his life. She encouraged him to pursue his dreams and never settle for mediocrity. Elon's personal life also reflects his larger personality. He is intensely private, yet extremely public at the same time. His private grief, joy, and struggles are rarely shared with the world, while his business decisions and ideas are broadcast globally. This duality is part of what makes him a complex figure. Even outside family, Elon's relationships are shaped by his ambition. He surrounds himself with people who share his vision or can help achieve his goals. At the same time, he has lost friends and employees who could not handle the pressure or intensity of working with him. He expects total commitment and often prioritizes work over personal comfort. His personal life also intersects with his professional life. His investments, projects, and even public decisions are sometimes influenced by his personal philosophy and experiences. For example, the loss of his first child and awareness of mortality may have reinforced his urgency to work on projects that could impact humanity's survival. Similarly, his relationships and struggles with family show that even geniuses are human, with vulnerabilities and emotions. In many ways, understanding Elon Musk's personal life helps explain his work ethic and vision. His intensity, obsession, and willingness to take risks are mirrored in the way he handles personal relationships. He does not do things half-heartedly. Whether it is family, business, or space travel, Elon invests everything he has. But while personal life is challenging, it also fuels his creativity and resilience. It teaches him lessons about loss, empathy, and the limits of human endurance. And it is this combination of personal intensity and professional drive that makes him capable of extraordinary achievements. In Part 10, we will explore Elon Musk's other ventures, including Neuralink and the Boring Company. These projects reveal his curiosity, imagination, and desire to push the boundaries of human possibility even further. Part 10. Neuralink, the Boring Company, and other ventures. Elon Musk is not satisfied with rockets and electric cars alone. He is constantly searching for the next big challenge that could reshape the future. 2 of his ventures, Neuralink and the Boring Company, show just how wide his imagination reaches. Neuralink is one of Elon's most ambitious projects. Its goal is to connect the human brain directly with computers. Elon believes that if humans are going to survive alongside artificial intelligence, we must enhance our cognitive abilities. At first, many scientists and engineers thought Neuralink was unrealistic or even impossible. But Elon pushed the project forward, assembling a team of neuroscientists, engineers, and programmers. They created brain implants that could potentially treat neurological diseases and allow humans to control computers with thought alone. This is still in the early stages, but the vision is revolutionary. It shows that Elon is not limited to traditional industries. He is thinking about the evolution of humanity itself. The Boring Company is another example of Elon's bold thinking. Traffic in major cities has always been a problem. Elon imagined building underground tunnels for transportation, allowing people to travel faster and reducing congestion. Many laughed at the idea, calling it a pipe dream. But Elon began digging tunnels in Los Angeles and experimenting with high-speed transportation systems called hyperloops. The project is both practical and visionary. It addresses real-world problems while demonstrating innovative engineering. In addition to these ventures, Elon continues to push Tesla and SpaceX into new areas. Tesla is expanding into energy storage, solar panels, and autonomous driving. SpaceX is building the Starship rocket, designed for deep space travel and eventually for Mars colonization. Every new project shows the same pattern. Identify a problem, imagine a bold solution, and invest time, energy, and resources to make it real. Elon Musk's approach to these ventures reflects his personality. He is intensely curious. He does not accept conventional wisdom. He believes that most problems can be solved if approached from first principles thinking, breaking them down to the basics. This method allows him to challenge industries that others think are fixed and unchangeable. At the same time, these projects are high risk. They require enormous capital, cutting-edge technology, and constant experimentation. Failures are common, and critics are always ready to say that Elon is overreaching. But for him, the potential rewards far outweigh the risks. He sees these ventures not as hobbies, but as essential contributions to the future of humanity. Another characteristic of Elon's ventures is that they are interconnected. Neuralink, SpaceX, Tesla, and the Boring Company all reflect his broader vision of advancing human life. Electric cars and clean energy protect the planet. Reusable rockets make humanity multi-planetary. Brain-computer interfaces prepare humans for the rise of artificial intelligence. Underground transportation solves urban problems efficiently. Everything works toward a larger mission of human survival and progress. This relentless drive and interconnected thinking set Elon Musk apart from other entrepreneurs. He is not content with small achievements or short-term gains. Every project is a step toward a future he believes is possible. In Part 11, we will explore Elon Musk's public image, controversies, and how the world reacts to someone who pushes the boundaries of technology and human ambition. Part 11. Public Image and Controversies. Elon Musk is one of the most famous and debated figures in the world today. His accomplishments make headlines, but so do his words, actions, and social media posts. Unlike many CEOs, he does not hide behind corporate statements or careful public relations. He speaks directly, often on Twitter, sharing thoughts that can inspire, shock, or anger millions. Some people see Elon as a genius visionary. He is praised for changing industries, pushing technology forward, and daring to solve problems others ignore. SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, and the Boring Company are examples of his bold thinking turned into reality. Millions admire him for dreaming bigger than anyone else and for working harder than anyone else. At the same time, Elon is highly controversial. He has made statements that critics consider reckless or insensitive. He clashes with regulators, investors, and even his own employees at times. Some accuse him of overworking staff or creating a toxic work environment. His public battles on social media have sometimes affected stock prices or public opinion. Yet, these controversies are part of his personality and leadership style. Elon does not care about being liked. He cares about achieving results. He believes that progress requires challenging norms, questioning authority, and taking risks. To him, discomfort and criticism are the price of changing the world. Elon's public image is also shaped by his ambitious goals. He openly talks about colonizing Mars, creating artificial intelligence safeguards, and building a sustainable energy future. Some people think these ideas are too ambitious or unrealistic, but for his supporters, these visions are inspiring. They see a person who is not limited by money, politics, or conventional thinking. In addition, Elon has become a cultural figure. Movies, books, and documentaries feature him as a modern inventor and entrepreneur. He is compared to Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla, and other innovators of history. This attention brings both admiration and scrutiny. Every tweet, every announcement, every personal decision is amplified around the world. Part of his controversy comes from his communication style. He is blunt, sarcastic, and sometimes unpredictable. He does not use traditional corporate language. Instead, he speaks as a person who wants to move fast and think differently. This honesty attracts followers who admire his authenticity. But it also draws criticism from those who prefer caution and diplomacy. Elon Musk's life shows that genius and controversy often go hand in hand. The same boldness that builds rockets and electric cars also invites public debate. He accepts this as part of the process. To him, achieving extraordinary goals is more important than pleasing everyone. Despite the controversies, his impact is undeniable. He has changed multiple industries, inspired millions of people, and pushed humanity to think bigger. The story of Elon Musk is not only about success or failure. It is about vision, courage, and the willingness to risk everything for the future. In Part 12, we will wrap up his story by looking at his overall impact, lessons from his life, and what his journey teaches us about ambition, innovation, and humanity's future. Part 12. Legacy and Lessons. Elon Musk's story is a journey of vision, risk, and relentless determination. From his childhood in South Africa to his achievements with SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, and the Boring Company, he has always aimed for goals that most people consider impossible. He has shown that ambition, combined with hard work and courage, can change the world. One of the most important lessons from his life is the power of vision. Elon never started a company just to make money. He started companies to solve big problems: sustainable energy, multi-planetary life, and human enhancement. His vision gives meaning to his work and inspires millions around the world. It reminds us that ambition is not just personal. It can be a tool to make the world better. Another lesson is the value of risk-taking. Elon invested his own money repeatedly, even when failure seemed certain. He risked his wealth, his reputation, and sometimes his health. He teaches us that true innovation often requires stepping into the unknown and being willing to fail. Without risk, progress is slow. With risk, breakthroughs are possible. Elon Musk also teaches the importance of resilience. In 2008, he faced near bankruptcy, failed rockets, and financial crises. Many would have given up, but he kept going. He learned from mistakes, adapted quickly, and never lost sight of his goals. This resilience is as important as intelligence or creativity in achieving extraordinary outcomes. Leadership is another key part of his story. Elon shows that leading through vision, urgency, and deep involvement can inspire teams to achieve the impossible. However, he also teaches that leadership comes with challenges. High expectations, intense pressure, and unconventional methods can create tension. Still, for Elon, the goal outweighs comfort. His life also highlights the balance between personal struggle and professional achievement. Family, relationships, and emotional challenges have been part of his journey. They remind us that even geniuses face hardships. Success is never without sacrifice, and ambition must be tempered with humanity. Finally, Elon Musk's journey is a reminder of the importance of curiosity and learning. From reading encyclopedias as a child to studying physics and economics in college, he demonstrates that knowledge is power. He applies what he learns in practical, world-changing ways. He shows that thinking from first principles and questioning assumptions can lead to radical innovation. Elon Musk's legacy is still being written. SpaceX is making space travel more accessible, and Tesla is transforming the auto industry. Neuralink and the Boring Company are pushing the boundaries of technology and human capability. His life reminds us that progress comes from people who dream big, work harder than anyone else, and never fear failure. In conclusion, Elon Musk's story is more than a biography. It is a lesson in ambition, courage, and human potential. It shows that even one person, with vision and persistence, can change multiple industries and influence the future of humanity. For anyone seeking inspiration, his life is proof that limits exist only in the mind. Dare to dream, work relentlessly, take risks, and never give up. That is the ultimate lesson of Elon Musk. Now, I want to say that if you enjoyed this audiobook-style summary of Elon Musk's life and journey, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with more inspiring book summaries. Hit the subscribe button now so you never miss a story that can change the way you think and act. Join our community of learners and innovators, and keep discovering knowledge that empowers you.